is a terrific day for Wick Grousbeck and the owners of the Boston Celtics, as they just sold the franchise for $6.1 billion, the highest price ever paid for a US sports team. And Bill Chisholm, I don't know how to pronounce it. Please forgive me, sir, has bought the team. He's the owner of what's the company called? STG Partners, a private equity firm. His group is working with Goldman Sachs. And as a lifelong Massachusetts native and lifelong Celtics fan, he is ecstatic at the sale of this team.
Wow.
PJ, the Celtics are in an interesting position because they have a very deep roster, or, their starting five might be the best starting five in the NBA. They're the reigning champs. But that luxury tax bill is starting to pile up. And with the repeater tax, so if a team is over the salary cap, they pay what's called the luxury tax. And for every dollar you're over the luxury tax, you pay X amount. But if you're over the luxury tax year after year, the tax goes up exponentially. So keeping this group together for the long term is going to be very difficult. In fact, one thing I think people don't realize is the Celtics may have to make some cost-cutting moves this summer. They've kept the group together to try go back to back this year. But when the summertime comes around, that luxury tax bill for next year is looking like billions of dollars. They may be forced to make some moves and break up this team. Do you have any anticipation on the direction in which this will go? Because a new ownership, you don't know what direction they're going to go in. We saw Matt Ishbia buy the Phoenix Suns and try and go all in and spend all his money in draft picks. Or other owners may be more conservative and look at this more like a business and try and make profit out of it. Do you have any anticipation on the sale of the Celtics and what the future has in store for the most successful team in NBA history?
Most successful team. I love how you,
Those 18 banners speak for
I,
themselves.
Mo, that's pretty funny. When these owners or these new investment groups come into the NBA, there's always a learning curve that happens. The Celtics right now are presently set up to sell. And I would venture to say that the players and the roster is just currently constructed. They've done a really good job of evaluating their players, and the salaries will match their production. That's the key. They have max players. Well, you should expect to get with max players at the very least to the conference finals when you have one or more. Check. You have players like Al Horford's production at his age, and he produces to where a player where he's financially at should produce under pressure. Check. You have Drew Holiday. You have what's the other kid there? The
Derek White.
Derek White. You have players. You have elite guards who that if you were to put on the market and suddenly they became available, I don't think there would be. I think there would be a lot of takers. I don't think there would be any problems for them to move. Check, check. Then you have Porzingis, who, even though he's had some health concerns throughout his career, I still think that's a movable contract. So check. So people say when you have a high salary team or a team that's in the luxury tax, but you have players that are evaluated and they're producing as such, there will never be a problem for you to move them when Father Time steps into the picture. The only reason this team won't stay together is because they'll begin to show they'll get a little long in the tooth. And there will be no problem to retool this quickly because of the age of their two stars, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
27,
So,
28.
yes, 28, but he's still in his prime. I mean, these guys are 28 years old.
Yeah, the prime's just
Okay,
beginning.
so exactly. So I am not concerned about any of that. What I am concerned about is what's the learning curve of the new ownership? Because when they come in, what's the very first thing they all say when they come in?
They want to win.
And they want to win now. Well, this isn't like a traditional business because you're managing, you have to partner with people. And that is the most difficult thing to do. And that's why when you have however you are successful in your business and whether it's product, private equity, and all of those things, now you have people involved and you're partnering with someone. And for many, that's an adjustment. As long as they listen to their current management group that's currently in place, they'll be fine. Okay. The word silent and the word listen, they have the same letters. Okay. You can take it from there. This is free advice, but it just is what it is. You do not come into this business with just money and suddenly you know everything. No. Listen, absorb information, hire competent people who will help you understand what I just said. You have to manage people. You're putting together a team. Stats doesn't mean it's a team. Guy averages 25, he's going to come here, he's going to average 25. Well, no, it doesn't work that way. You're dealing with groups, personalities, coaches, what's the age, so forth and so on. Injuries happen. So listen, you have very competent people there in your executive team. Brad Stevens and these guys, they've done it. If you listen to these guys, you'll be fine. You'll have at a minimum another 5 to 7 year run with this group because you have two players.
Tatum Brown, Derek White, and Sam Hauser are under contract until 2029.
But that doesn't mean, but you can't, Mo, don't fall. You're going to be an executive.
No. I'm just letting the listeners know what the current situation is.
Don't fall into that, the contract. You have players who are currently playing at their evaluation.
Yeah.
You only make a mistake in this league is when players are being paid and aren't producing at the number that they're currently working at. Mm-hmm. That's the issue. Mm-hmm. If Jason Tatum became available, that's no problem. Jaylen Brown, no problem. Derek White, no problem. If they suddenly have a decrease in production, now you got a problem. Now you have a problem. So right now they are fine. But what's going to happen is at some point, Father Time is going to come in like Father Time always does. Father Time is undefeated. And their players are going to have to make moves. That's part of the business. No one's arguing that. Everyone understands this. That's why you must abide by one of many of the principal rules. You can't fall in love with the player. You can't fall in love with the player. The reason being is because your job demands that you constantly have to improve and the game may shift. What does that mean? The game may shift. No one knew 15 years ago that the game was suddenly going to shift to small ball. But when it did shift, the Warriors were posed better than anyone else to take advantage of that. Then everyone else caught on to it, and then they caught up with the Warriors. And you can argue a lot of teams passed the Warriors. There's always going to be shift. There's going to be a shift. Pace and space came into the game. You had to shift. Now that took out the big guy. And then all of a sudden, Jokic comes in the league, and now you can see the shift changing back, where every team now is trying to have a big guy and playing big, a la the OKC Thunder, and play with tall players. So you see these shifts, you have to be able to change. That's why your Celtics went out and got Porzingis, because they can play big if need be, and they can play small if need be. You hear me say these things, but I know you make fun of me. You have to be able to play a blended brand of basketball if you're going to win a championship.
There it is.
Yeah, but you make fun of me. But Mo, Brad Stevens and these guys, and he understands this. This isn't like rocket science. This is just, are you watching the game or are you watching the stat sheet? Watch the game. You have to be able to play when the big guys come in to your building, and you have to be able to play when the guys go small. Al Horford He can do both. And you have to be able to position your team when you have great players like you guys do there in Boston. My Detroit Pistons are, we're catching up. Okay, we have a team now that can play in multiple ways. You like how I segued, like the segue, how I segued that in there.
I like that. You're
You
learning.
like that?
You're learning. You're
Oh
600
yeah,
episodes
yeah,
in, but you learning.
yeah. I'm learning. I'm learning. And but I gotta give your Celtics credit. Your Celtics and their front office, they get an A plus. They get an A plus. When you see it, you don't see it because everyone's like, oh, well, this is why we're winning. No, you're winning because your front office has done an incredible job of positioning this organization, and they deserve a credit for the sale. If that is true, for what would you say, $6 billion?
6.1. Some people say 6.5, somewhere over the 6 billion mark.
Hey, the rest of the owners are all applauding. It's good to be in the NBA if that is
Yep.
true.
Yep.
So let that be a lesson of what this business is all about. And then you'll take another team, for instance. Let's just take a team, the Philadelphia 76ers. That is a tough position to be in because they are the opposite of what the Celtics have accomplished. So, that's our little basketball, of what this
Business of
business is all
basketball.
about. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is what
So
this is what it is.